Welcome to Quilt Conversations Live. I'm Geraldine Wilkins, the Living Water Quilter. Hello, those who are watching on the replay and those who are live. Hello, Copper, Sherry. Hello, Marcia. Hello, Christina. So glad that you ladies are here. Welcome. Hello, Jacqueline. Hello. It's so good to be with you. How are you? How has the last couple of weeks in February been with you? How have they been? What have you been up to? Let us know in the chat what you are up to. Are you sewing? Are you quilting? What project are you working on? You know what I've been doing? I've been getting ready for Quilt Con. That's right. I have been laser focused on getting ready for the Quilt Show. It's happening next week. And so, because of that, I thought we could talk about how do you get ready for a quilt show? Whether you're a teacher or participant, how do you get ready? What do you do? Some of the things that we need to consider are what? Are we going to take any classes? When do we register? Are you going to look at demos? What about your shopping list? What about your shopping list? What about an event app? Does the event have an app for your smartphone? Do you create a budget so that you don't overspend? What do you do when you get ready to go to a quilt show? I'm interested to know, how do you get ready? Comfortable shoes, comfort. Yes, because we will be doing a lot of walking, right? What else do we do? Sherry is making a quilt top, a quilted coat for her son's dog, Eleanor. I like that. That's a neat idea. I like that, Sherry. I can't wait to see what that looks like. That should be fun to make. Have you made it before? Copper says, great subject. Hello, Be Young in Delaware. So glad you're with us. We are talking about what do we do when we go to a quilt show. What about food? We have to eat. Do you bring your own snacks? Do you use eat the food at the vendor? What about going to the different vendors, the actual fabric companies, the sewing machine companies? What do you do, ladies, when you get ready to go to a quilt show? What is most important? Is it fabric shopping? What about that? What do you think? Let's see. So those are some of the things that we do. So what's the priority? One, we need to register. And do we pre-register? Do we want to make sure that we have access to the things that we want at the quilt show? We want to maximize our time because there's so much to see. So register or pre-registration. Christina says, quilt shows are usually held in convention centers or similar. No padding underneath those industrial carpets. Hard on the legs. Yes, so true. Let me fix these comments here. So you need really good shoes, padded shoes. Fix that. Yeah, there we go. Hopefully that will be better. All right. Um, What else? What else? Sherry says, never been to a big show. What about a small show? We would do something similar, right? So pre-registration, and that could mean to get access to the vendors and also the quilts on display. Also, we might want to register for a class. When we're thinking about classes, we want to be able to register for classes so that we also have time to look at the quilts on display, right? Comfortable shoes, says Benita. She's been to the Paducah show. All right. What about a local guild show? Sometimes those are a little bit smaller. It's not really a big show. Oh, okay, Copper. You went to one before, but as a quilter, and that was over 35 years ago. All right. Lori says next year she will be going to Quilt Con. Wonderful. Awesome. So then you might want to start taking notes about what you want to do in terms of preparing for that. How are you going to get there? Are you going to fly? Are you going to drive? What about take a train? Is it going to be an adventure with your quilting besties? So that means, are you going to share a hotel, a private room? Are you going to go to a campsite? Going to a quilt show can be an adventure, right? What do you think? I like the idea of making it an adventure with girlfriends. Sometimes that's possible, sometimes it's not. It depends on the show. Um, I also like the idea of planning out my visit, knowing exactly what those special exhibits are. Most quilt shows have special exhibits that you want to be able to see, or they have guest lecturers that you want to see because they have a particular topic that you want to learn more about. That's another thing. Let's go back to our how about a camper? I like that idea. Go if it's possible to drive at a comfortable pace, get there, camp, make it a vacation, and then you can bring your sewing machine with you. After all that inspiration from the show, what are you going to do? You're going to want to sew. You're going to want to quilt. You want to look at your fabric that you just bought from that day. So we are talking about possible meetups with friends, whether you're coming together. Hello, hello. Lisa is here from Black Women Stitch. She's going to be one of our guests tonight. I need to fix my comments. I did a last minute change and I need to fix this. Let's see if I can get this fixed. I want it to fly in from the left. All right, there we go. Welcome, welcome, Lisa. Everyone, give a hello to Lisa from Black Women Stitch. So, meetups with our friends. We're going to do that, right? The quilt show. What about the show? Are you going to take time to read the description, to learn about the process that a quilter went through or the story behind quilts? Often, quilt shows will have special exhibits that are traveling from show to show, or there might be a featured artist and you're going to get a chance to see several of their quilts all at one time. How many of you, let us know in the chat, how many of you have a budget? You're going to stick to a budget when you go shopping. So Black Women Stitch says she definitely reads the descriptions to find out and learn about the quilts, right? Which is fantastic. I love being able to learn about the quilts. How about some of the vendors that have not only demonstrations for a new tool? So you can do a number of things at a quilt show. You can get some education by taking a class, right? You can also prepare because you know there's going to be demos because there's tools you want to add to your collection of tools for your tool chest. What else? Lisa says she takes photos of the quilt along with the description so that she can refer to it later. That's a neat idea. So your cell phone then needs to be charged and ready. How many of you carry a portable cell phone charger in your bag? I have one, a portable cell phone charger, so that my cell phone can be recharged right in my hand. I don't have to go to find a wall outlet. Yes, the photos, a budget is always important. Yes. All right, let us know. Have you set a budget in the past when you've gone either to a quilt show or to a new fabric shop and you have broken that, you went right past that budget because you found that fabric that you just loved and had to have? I know that I do that sometimes. So, extra external battery banks and cords, yes, and charges at all times. Exactly. And I love the demos. How many of you like going to the demos? And sometimes they have these make and take demos where they show you how to use a machine or a new tool and you actually make something and take it with you. I like those too. Have you done that? Have any of you done a make and take that have been to a quilt show? So, Lori says, aren't budgets guidelines? I like that. Yes, budgets are guidelines. I guess we can have a little bit of wiggle room as long as we don't go out of control, right, Lori? I like that. Well, tonight, ladies, I have a special surprise for you. We are going to talk about Quilt Con at length with a couple of ladies who are going to Quilt Con, and we're going to talk about how they are getting there, what kind of transportation, what they're going to do while they're there, whether they are a vendor or a student, are they going to take a class, and how they plan to get the most out of a quilt show. Attending a quilt show is an investment in time, resources, and we want to get the most out of it. So as soon as the first guest arrives, she's supposed to be here at, let's see, at 7:15-ish. We will have her come up, but we have 3 ladies tonight that are going to talk about how they prep as a vendor or a student or a person who just loves quilting events. And some of our guests, actually, I think 1, 2, 3, yeah, 3 of them make garments. So that's a new twist for Quilt Conversations. One doesn't make quilts at all, but she loves quilts, and her partner is a quilter. They have a quilt shop in Maryland. And so one half of the business is quilting, one half is sewing, and there she is. She is here. Let me get her online. Let me assign her. All right. We're going to have our guest show up. Here we go.
Here I am.
Hello. There she is. Cecily, welcome. Everyone
Thank
give a warm
you.
welcome to Cecily from So Creative Lounge. Have you heard about Quilt Con? And are you going?
Yes. I've been living in QuiltCon land for the last month or so. But yes, we are going at So Creative Lounge, and we are prepping for our booth space. So, yeah.
So introduce yourself to the Quilt Conversations live community. Let them know who you are, what you do, and how we know each other.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so my name is Cecily Habimana. I'm co-owner of So Creative Lounge. And we are the culture keepers of sewing and quilting with the mission of teaching the world to sew one stitch at a time. My studio here, we opened up in 2017 in Mount Rainier, Maryland. We teach in-person virtual sewing classes and quilting classes, as well as we have a national membership program for our quilters and sewers. We teach children's classes. It's like we eat, live, breathe sewing and quilting. And so Geraldine and I met through a business group that we're in together. And when she came onto one of our calls and I saw the quilt in the background, I was like, oh my gosh, she's a quilter. Like there's another, some person that's in the artistic realm with us. And so I was really excited to meet her. And then when I got a booth at Quilt Con and you were instructing at Quilt Con, I was like, we have to do something together. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that and glad we got a chance to partner. And it she and I met up in person last year. I drove up to her shop to take a look at her beautiful fabrics, and ladies, I had to get some. And the quilt that is going to be on display, one of the quilts in her booth, is the beautiful sister quilt, and it's using some of her beautiful African print fabric. I'm so excited about it. Um, are you looking forward to this experience at QuiltCon? How are you preparing? Because this whole session is about how do you prepare as a vendor and as a visitor to a quilt show.
As a vendor for us, we're doing a lot of cutting and packing. And so some of our fabric that we just received from Robert Kaufman literally came this week. And so that means that we've been just feverishly packing and cutting and doing all those sorts of things. So that's what it looks like from a vending standpoint. I mean, the logistics, from what time are we leaving to getting a U-Haul truck to um, what else? Like, all those little fine details. Where we're going to park this thing when we get there. Like, it's just a lot to think about and to think through, because the last thing you want to do is to get down there with like thousands of dollars worth of merchandise and not have a safe place to, have it overnight. So that's what it looks like for me as a vendor. I think for as an attendee, I just would be like just to have an open mind and just walk around and have a good time and meet people. I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of quilt instructors and a lot of our following and members. We've been talking a lot to them over the last few weeks. So I'm just looking forward to seeing them in person.
That's fantastic. I know that there is always a concern about getting there safely as a vendor, providing what you love for your community, and that is the beautiful fabric and other things, but then also to meet your community in person. Many
Mhm.
businesses have um, customers, clients that are all over the US. And so when you go to a show, there's an opportunity that you can meet them in person. So I know that's going to be wonderful. You're probably going to take quite a few selfies with them, right?
Yep, definitely.
Um, so now I mentioned that this is quilt conversations, but you're not a quilter. You
No.
are a designer of clothing. That's your passion. Can you speak a
Mhm.
little bit about that?
Yeah, so I started sewing, I want to say like maybe 9 or 10 years old. And my mom was an artist. And so by the time I was in high school, I was making my friends' prom dresses for money. And in college, it was kind of the same thing. I did alterations in my room, I did costuming, I did all types of things. And so by the time I left school and got married, I told my husband, I said, I want to have a business together. What should we do? And he was like, well, why don't we just start, you do your clothing line on a more official level, meaning manufacturing the clothing line. And so that's what we did. Literally a year or even like a couple months after we got married, we decided to launch a clothing line. We found a manufacturer. We literally launched my first collection. I think I was like 8 months pregnant. That was terrible timing. I wouldn't do that again. But yeah, so ever since then, it's just kind of been a roller coaster. So there's some pieces in my prior collections that actually come out as patterns now at So Creative Lounge. So.
Well, that's wonderful to hear. And I know your partner is a quilter, so I would imagine that she has not only introduced you to quilting, but also how the two of those, f- clothing design and quilting, sometimes they cross pollinate, right?
Mhm.
And so when we go to quilt shows, sometimes if you're not a quilter, you're not familiar with the fact that sometimes the quilt exhibits include garments.
Mhm. Mhm.
So Have you been to a quilt show before? Have you seen some quilted garments? Does that have an interest to you? That's pretty popular now to make a coat from a quilt. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think it was maybe it was last winter when I walked into Target and almost everything in the front of the store was quilted. It was like quilted jackets, quilted vests, quilted bags, I was like, what is this? Like, what's happening here? And it got me excited because, it's something that I've always enjoyed looking at because even, um, you know, because I'm into garments, like I like to do a lot of mixed fabrics and such. And so we did something 2 years ago called the Nyla jacket. And we basically sewed like, I don't know, 80 something jelly roll strips together. And then we used that as the fabric to make our jacket. And so it's like a little bit of a combination of quilting because you got to put the fabric together and then sewing, garment sewing because the end product is a jacket. So I love the hodgepodge. I love the mesh between the two, the two worlds.
I think it's kind of thrilling because it opens the door on both ends for quilters who also, a lot of them do make garments. And to be able to incorporate another passion of quilting into the garment aspect just opens up a whole new world of opportunity to put two things together. So I love that combination.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
what tips can you give the ladies? Because some of them have never been to a big quilt show. We were talking about that just before you came on. And I assume this is your first big quilt show, is it?
This is the biggest quilt show. I did attend just a few months ago one that was in Fredericksburg. I think was that in the fall? Yeah, it was in the fall. I did attend that one, but of course, that one's a lot smaller. But when I did attend it, I think I took a few classes while I was there, and then spent the rest of the time browsing exhibits and then browsing the vendors as well. And so I think it's just about pacing yourself. It would be my first thing. I like to eat like all day long, so I had plenty of snacks in my bag. I had, and water and that sort of thing. So I liked to go early because the crowds didn't really get there until a little bit later in the day. So that would be like another, recommendation to try to get there early. Um, and then the last little tidbit is that, and this is a tidbit from me as a vendor also. Now, hopefully, my followers not going to actually do this, but vendors don't want to take their merchandise home. So if there's like maybe if you come like Thursday, Friday, get what you really want, and then Friday there may be some special deals out. I mean Saturday and Sunday there may be some special deals out there. So I would probably say just to, if you can, come multiple days. Get what you really want at the beginning because you don't want to sell out, but come back and swoop around at the end to see what deals you can get as well.
That is a great tip. I've never thought about that. The
Mhm.
last day of the show to make your last round, and even
Yep.
if that means to blow your budget, right?
Oh, I mean, because buying quilting and sewing supplies is not the same thing as actually making it. So
That is so true, and I love that you had an opportunity to take a class.
Mhm.
What do you think about taking classes at shows? How did you prepare for taking a class?
I didn't really do a whole lot of prep beforehand. I went there with an open mind to learn something. I mean, literally, my first garment, I think I was like 9 years old, right? So I've been sewing a really, really long time. But I don't ever think that learning somebody else's approach, it doesn't stop. Like putting in, if I sit down next to my partner Tisha, we're making the same garment. I'm looking at her shoulder like, how did you do that? And she's looking over my shoulder like, how did you do that? Right? And so there's always opportunities to learn in the classes and that sort of thing. So I would just say, just have an open mind when you go. You know, just be open to their process, even if it's different than how you would have approached that particular project.
I think that's a great tip. Always be open for learning new ways to approach something, no matter how long you've been sewing or quilting. There's
Hmm.
always going to be a little nugget that you can get from a teacher that will just perhaps change the way you sew a particular technique or garment or quilt. I love that tip. Uh,
Hmm.
I'd like to open it up to questions. Anyone have a question for Cecily about either her shop or her as a fashion designer? Let us know if you have any questions because our next guest is going to come on. And Cecily, you're welcome to stay and join us if you want. I don't
Okay.
know what your schedule is like, but let's see if there's any comments. And I'd
I'm
like to
I'm
say welcome to those who are just arriving. Hello, Rochelle. So glad you're here. And Mr. Kirk Nugent was here. Thank you for being here. He's one of my fellow live streamers, and I love that he dropped in and said hello. Hello, Cassandra. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so Marsha wants to know, where is your shop located?
Okay, so it's in Mount Rainier, Maryland. It's at 3711 Rhode Island Avenue. And it's also the website is sewcreativelounge.com.
All
Yeah,
right,
literally
wonderful.
right
And then
behind me.
Copper wants to know about the outfit behind you.
That's actually part of our Valentine's Day celebration. We did an apron and a um, pot holder. Let's see it. Is it in the shot now? Ah, there we go. Yeah, so here's the pot holder here. So you put your hand in like this, and yeah, that's it.
Wow, that is neat.
And then it's, a little pocket here, and we put a little ruffle on the side on the. So we just wanted to do something super cute and super easy for Valentine's Day to get people excited about the holiday.
All right. So Lisa is supposed to join us from Black Women Stitch, and she doesn't know how to log in. I sent the link via the email, Lisa. If you remember, I'm going to try and send that again. Let's see if I can get that up. Excuse me, folks, just for a quick minute. I'm going to see if I can get this link over to Lisa so she
Yeah.
can join us. Let's see.
Oh, but while we are waiting, my booth
Yes.
number is 1517. And so we have a double booth. And we're going to be selling a range of African print charm packs, patty cakes, jelly rolls. The kit, of course, that we're doing together with Geraldine for the Beautiful Sisters quilt. We'll have that packaged with fabric. We have a lot of different. The Nyla jacket that I was just talking about that's made with jelly rolls, we'll have that as well. And lots of 1 yard, 6 yard pieces, 2 yard pieces, fat quarters, whatever you need in terms of like African print and batik prints is what we'll have in our booth.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was important to know. I'm
Yeah.
excited about the Beautiful Sister quilt and that ladies will be able to make it, that Cecily and her team have put together the kit so you can make the quilt. Everything that you need is going to be inside the kit.
Yep, yep.
All
And that's
right.
like what.
There is Lisa. Wonderful. She made it. So, Cecily, are you going to stay with us or do you have to go?
No, I'm cutting jelly rolls literally right now. I gotta
Okay.
go.
Let me give her a guest two there, and let's see. Here we go. All
All
right.
right. I'm gonna leave you guys. Have a wonderful evening.
Have a good one.
All
Okay.
right.
Bye.
Okay, I'm going to switch this back and let me. There we go. All right. Welcome, Lisa.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much. I am trying to get my light as good as yours, and it's just not going to happen. I've resigned myself. Um, I will continue to study your excellent ways.
Now, just introduce yourself, let everyone know who you are and what you do
Hello,
and how
everybody.
you're going to
Thank
be
you.
a Quilt Con.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to Geraldine for this invitation to meet with her audience. My name is Lisa Woolfork. I am of Black Women Stitch. We're the sewing group where Black Lives Matter. And I am the host and producer of Stitch Please, which is a weekly audio podcast that centers Black women, girls, and femmes in sewing. And we will be at Quilt Con. This is our first time going. And we are going to do lots of things. I actually am taking quite a few classes, none of which are being taught by one Miss Geraldine Wilkins. Because even though Geraldine is teaching almost all of the classes at the QuiltCon, all of them are also full. Um, and that I have not been able to get into a Geraldine Wilkins class. But luckily for me, Geraldine Wilkins and I live in the same state. And I know she is only about 90 minutes on a good, clear day from my place. And hopefully, I will have another opportunity to learn from her because I absolutely want to. But we are there to host. We are hosting an Affinity Space. This is the first time this has ever happened at a QuiltCon. It's an Affinity Space called So Black, and it is a black centered affinity space, and it is designed to center and celebrate and as to be as a leisure lounge for the black participants at QuiltCon. We are excited about that, and we also have lots of other things that the affinity space is designed for a particular demographic, but there's so many other things that we are doing that everyone can participate in. Y'all will not miss anything. So we have the podcast this month. All of the episodes have been focused on quilting. So I would urge you to check out the podcast, especially this Wednesday, where we have someone you might know, someone you might be looking at right now. Not me. Well, yes, me. I'm in all the episodes. But also, one Geraldine Wilkins is going to kick off QuiltCon. Our episodes on the podcast drop on Wednesdays, and so I was very happy to schedule Geraldine because it felt appropriate. I really believe that they should call this Geraldine Wilkins QuiltCon.
Ah,
I think that it should be called that. Yeah, well, that's what I'm calling it. And so we have the podcast episodes this month are all about QuiltCon and quilting, and even moving into next month, there was so much wonderful um, bubbling up of creativity around quilting that one month could not contain it. And so we also have the So Black Sew and Show. And that was designed to close the gap between quilting fabric and apparel sewing. And what I would like to do is just to show quilters that you can sew clothes using the same quilting cottons that you already know and love. So if you follow So Black QC, the hashtag on Instagram, you will see a variety of folks, sewing influencers that folks, at least in my sphere, in the quilting space, I'm not sorry, in the apparel sewing space, folks that are very well regarded and beloved. Aronica Cole, Julian Collins. Julian is a Bernina ambassador. Nefertiti Griggs, also a Bernina ambassador. Aronica's a Bernina ambassador as well. We do have other people who are not Bernina ambassadors involved in the challenge. Nikki Griffin is involved, and she is sewing for us. Terrence Williams is also sewing in the contest, and I know, and it's not a contest; it's just a sew and show. And Sierra Burrell are just creating garments out of fabrics designed by Black folks, and we're working with 4 designers in total. 2 from Ruby Star Society, and that's Jen Hewitt and Rashida Coleman Hale. I cannot believe that I'm blanking on these names, Geraldine, in any way, considering that I feel like my entire life has been devoted to this for I don't know how long. Like I don't understand how I'm like blanking. Um, but and then we have Free Spirit Fabrics. That's Ebon. She's got two wonderful collections, Root and Glyphs. Root is the most current one, and she has a new one coming out as well that I haven't seen yet, but I'm excited about. And then we're also working with Spoonflower. Spoonflower is our major underwriter. They are our top level platinum supporter, and we are emphasizing the work of Janine LaCour. She is a surface pattern designer based in Atlanta, and we are using her fabrics to decorate the Affinity Space. And when I tell you, it is a lot of fabric. I I I would actually even ask your audience to guess how much fabric is required to decorate a conference room.
And
And
Spoonflower donated
Spoonflower
the fabric?
donated the fabric? Yes.
Wow,
Wow,
amazing.
amazing.
Many
Yes.
yards.
Many yards. Many, many.
Now, isn't
Now,
there
isn't
a
there a
disc
dis-
discount code
discount
associated
code
with Black
associated
Women
with
Stitch
Black
with
Women Stitch with
Spoonflower?
Spoonflower? Absolutely, yes. You can secure the Spoonflower fabrics from Spoonflower, of course. And this was this was because, well, that's you can't buy Spoonflower fabric anywhere else. So there's a wonderful discount code of 20% off if you use the code SewBlackQC, which is the same as the hashtag SEWBLACKQC. And that's the discount code for 20% off. You can use that same discount code to get 10% off at Crimson Tate. Heather Gibbons gave us that discount code because she sells Ebon fabric, Jennifer Jen Hewitt fabric, and Rashida Coleman Hale fabric. And the collection, I know I have a piece right here. As I said, this fabric is just everywhere. But Rashida has a new collection called Linear, and it a lot of it looks like lines. And so here's an example.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. And so I thought that was really lovely. And then this is one of Janine LaCour's pieces. And so I just finished just yesterday the last outfit that I needed to sew. I received your message, and I'm gonna talk about that. I want to we're gonna post it and make a reel out of it. But when you were wondering about 5 pair of shoes, and I was like, Geraldine, that's really ridiculous. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I got 5 outfits, and I want to wear different shoes. So I was like, you need 5 pairs of shoes for every class. That you actually need 6 pair.
Ladies, I'm sorry
Ladies,
about
I'm
the
sorry about
echo.
the echo.
I haven't
I
figured out
haven't
how
figured
to
out
fix
how
that.
to fix that. Do should I get? Let me get headphones. Let me try.
Because
Because
Lisa, you're not
Lisa, you're
echoing,
not
it's
echoing.
me.
It's me,
Oh, okay.
And I haven't figured
and I
out
haven't figured out
why.
why. Is that helping at all?
I don't know. Do you still hear echo?
I
Ladies,
never
is
heard.
that better?
Oh, sorry.
Hopefully, they're not hearing an echo now. Okay, I think you're not hearing an echo. So Copper says she loves your sewing room. We want to
Oh,
hear more about. No more echo. Great. Awesome. I was able to fix it. We want to hear
thank
more
you.
about
Well
how
done,
do you
Geraldine.
prepare for a quilt show when you have so much going on. This is all about tips to help women quilters, attendees get the most out of a quilt show. And
Yes.
you are vending but not vending. You have this special space. You want to meet people. You want to take classes. How do you do it? And how are you getting to QuiltCon? What's your transportation?
Oh, this is so exciting. So let me answer the easiest question first, because this advice about how we could help somebody, how to best prepare when you have a lot to do and how can you manage. I was absolutely hoping that somebody else before me would tell the answer. And so that was what I was waiting for. So that's so just spoiler alert. I don't know. Um, but I am very excited about our way of getting down to Atlanta. We have Black Women Stitch partnered with Amtrak, and we are taking the train. We are taking an overnight sleeper car, and I board the train. Naomi boards the train in DC around 6. I board the train here in Virginia around 8:15, and 12 hours later, we will be in Atlanta, and we're also bringing our sewing machines on the train. Um,
Wow.
I I will be. I'm bringing my little Burnett 33, which is also a machine we're going to be giving away. And I'm really thinking that it's a small little space, but my machine is a small little machine. So we're gonna try to live stream. I have a wireless hub, a 5G hub, thinking that maybe that could help us boost the Wi-Fi that the train has. I'm not sure, but we're gonna have a very good time. It's going to be fun, and I think the train ride might, I'm hoping, help me rest and kind of settle in a little bit, because I'm not sure how you have been organizing yourself, Geraldine, because you've got so much as well going on. But I feel like I have been going, 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 and going. And it just hit me like 2 nights ago that I pretty much work on this event 18 hours a day. I've been doing that pretty much 18 hours a day all month long. And this
Wow.
is not my actual job.
Wow.
So it's just a lot. So I'm very excited for the train and to help me kind of switch mindsets, and to relax and to start to enjoy the ride, as it were.
Well, you just gave a fabulous tip. When we all have busy schedules, when we're going to an event that's also going to be very busy, you decided I'm going to take transportation that's going to be a little bit of a leisure ride, not as hectic. It's going to allow me to slow down my adrenaline so
Yes.
that when you get to the show, you are somewhat rested. You're not as overly um, excited or overly anxious, but you have taken time to just relax and maybe even review the app.
Yes. Oh, I love the app. Oh my gosh, y'all. If you are going to QuiltCon and have not gotten the app yet, I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it. So,
So
um,
we have a
I
question. Someone wants to know what your job is.
my actual job, I will not say the place, but I am a university professor. That is my actual job, and it means that I do not sleep as much as I should.
Yeah.
And so I'm very fortunate this semester, that my load is lighter in some ways, even though I am directing a center and writing a book, and you know, etc.
Etc.
Apparently, I have been described as a high capacity individual. That was what my time management coach told me. She was, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would believe that. I would believe that.
and her task for me was to like slow down and do less, or like, why do you feel like you're working all the time? And I'm like, I think it's because I'm working all the time.
Now, I know we talked a little bit about the podcast, but maybe some ladies are new to the podcast. Can you
Oh
share how
yes,
they can get access to it?
I would love to. I would love to. You all, the Black Women Stitch podcast, Stitch Please, centers Black women, girls, and femmes in sewing. And I have heard from many folks who are not Black women, girls, and femmes who absolutely enjoy the podcast. My sister in law tells me that there is someone in New York City, she's a lawyer, in her office that likes my podcast because he likes podcasts with people who are passionate about what they do. So it doesn't matter the topic. As long as he can tell somebody really cares about the topic, he'll listen. And so he's like a new big fan of my podcast. So that's a great endorsement. And then also, so we have it's an audio show. It drops the episodes drop every Wednesday. We have about 167 episodes. So I started back in 2019. So you can go back to the old catalog. I must say that I improved over time. The first ones are a little rough. Um, and the name of the podcast, Copper Buttons, is Stitch Please. Stitch Please. And we have interviewed so many different folks. We've interviewed quilters that teach. We've interviewed 3 engineers who are also quilt teachers and designers and instructors. Like Latifa Safir is an engineer. Guyleen Fitzgerald is an engineer. Ebony Love is an engineer. These are all professional engineers who are quilters and they design quilt things and tools and write books, and it's wonderful. I've interviewed authors, people that have written books, like Bianca Springer, who wrote Represent. That's the book that she did last year. But also folks like Rita Dove, who was the poet laureate for the United States and the first Black woman to do so. Like, just amazing. Just and she sews, and she sewed her own wedding dress, and she shared pictures of that with me. So I have some of that in the Patreon. So it's just really, it's really been wonderful. I feel like I've talked to so many different people, and I still have not run out of people to speak with. You know,
Yes,
I
I
feel
can
like every.
certainly.
Mhm.
I can certainly understand that there's so much that you can do in terms of interviewing people and bringing in new ideas and concepts with sewing and quilting and garments.
Yes.
I do have a question about, will there be an episode for Quilt Con? Will Stitch Please have a special
Mm.
episode?
Wow, that is such a great question. And the answer is yes. One of the things that we're doing in the Affinity Space is doing live recordings of the podcast. And this really means a lot to me because the podcast is designed to center Black women, girls, and femmes in sewing. So I'm really happy to have a studio audience of Black folks who are really already committed to sewing, quilting, and in the arts. And so it's a real honor to have an assembled audience. And we're talking with really wonderful folks. Sarah Bond is one of the guests. E. Bond is a guest. Sean Kimber, who is the actual keynote, will sit and talk with us. And so it's really going to be great to have kind of like a family conversation or what feels that way. And then it'll be recorded for posterity, for engagement, for other folks to have the benefit of it as well. And so that is something I'm really excited about. And I have to keep that in mind when I start to look at my schedule for the day and cry because I'm looking at like back to back to back. Like,
Yeah,
it's a lot.
it's a lot. But having the podcast is going to help those like Lori, who's in the chat, who are not able to go to experience it
Yes.
through the podcast. So I
Yes.
love
Yes.
that.
And please follow Black Women Stitch on TikTok and Instagram. My goal is to go live on the Amtrak and to share what it's like to be in the sleeper car and to try to set up a little sewing machine in there. So I think the folks at Amtrak are excited about that. I am very excited about that. So if you want some live live footage, live experience. We will be trying to do that in the train, I mean, on the train on Tuesday night. So that's going to be around Tuesday night, maybe 9 p.m.
Fantastic. We are almost out of time, but what I'd like to do is to look at the app a little bit because sometimes
Yes.
with these larger shows, I actually have the app right here. I'm going to
Oh, I love it so
remove
much.
these here and make you a little bit bigger. I anticipated we'd have additional guests, but it will be the two of us.
Yes,
Here we
yay!
go.
I get you all to myself, unlike at
Yeah.
Quilt Con in a class. Listen, y'all, I have every intention of talking about this until somehow some miracle opens up and I can take the class. I Actually, that's not true. I'm not going to harass you about this. I am going to next year. I will sign up earlier. Let this be a reminder to me.
Okay. Well, why don't you share your tips for the app? Because I love having this app. A conference app does a lot of things. It helps you when you have a very busy schedule organize the things that you want to see, right?
Yes. Yes. And so I am a very organized person. Not because that's not a brag or a flex, it's that I absolutely need to be, or I find myself getting overwhelmed. So when I knew I was coming to QuiltCon, I created a Google Calendar of my own classes that I knew I wanted to take and of some of the other things that I wanted to do. And so when this app happened, when the app came out and I saw that they had the My Schedule tab, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. So when you go into the My Schedule tab, you can go through the actual main calendar and put a star next to, or you can tap on it to save some of these really wonderful things. So, like, for example, I, as the curator and the founder of this organization and offering, I'm very busy at QuiltCon, and I really only have, my producer only kind of gave me, like, I have like 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day of free time throughout the entire con. Every day I get like 3 hours where I don't have to do anything, or that's when I walk the floor and talk to people and that kind of thing. And so what I realized was I wanted to see the brown sugar stitches exhibition. I wanted to see the Harriet Powers exhibition, which I think is part of the brown sugar. But I think the brown sugar has their 25th anniversary, and they are working with the Harriet Powers folks. And then I wanted to see the Fulton County quilters and their memorial quilts. So those were the three special things that I wanted to see. And there's tours. If you go to the events there, through the event schedule, you can find the tours for these different exhibitions. I'm like, that would be great. A tour, that's someone who knows about it and I can learn about it and you get more information out of a tour. I was really excited for that. And so when I lined up what I had in my schedule, I was able to see, oh, Brown Sugar is doing two tours. I can do this. I can't make this one because of a conflict, but I can do this one instead. So I highly recommend. So even if you already have an idea of what your classes are, finding them in the app is really great. Plus, it tells you the room number. And as someone who looked at all the little room numbers on the teeny tiny map online, I got to tell you, I am very grateful that the room numbers are listed on this app because woo doggy, it was a lot trying to see them. Like, is that a 210? Like, yeah. So yeah, it's really great to have the app.
Yeah, I love it too. I love that it's handy to have when you're going through the show at a glance. Once you've gone through it ahead of time, you and put together that schedule, no matter where you are, you can look at like what's going on right now. You can click on that as
Yes.
a reminder, where am I supposed to be? You can look at your own personal schedule.
Oh.
I love, and then the vendor hall, of course, you know,
Yeah.
you know you want to visit So Creative Lounge, right? There.
Absolutely, because somebody there has a special sister quilt that
Yes.
Black Women Stitch is supporting, just offering as we're gonna get some of these as prizes for the So Black giveaway. And so we are collecting we've got books, we've got we've got these beautiful quilt patterns, and you all have to see the quilt. It is so amazing. And the fact that the fabric comes from So Creative Lounge, it's such a beautiful, it's a sister's quilt. It's called, or sister quilt, but even in the promotion of it, there's sisterness involved. And I
Yes.
think that that's really just beautiful.
Yeah. We had a question from Sherry about when we're navigating at a quilt show that's this big and there's so many things going on, how do you navigate between one location to the next? Is it easy to get around?
Mm. One thing, a couple of things I noticed and appreciated. One, the MQG was offering, I'm not sure for free or low cost, mobility scooters. And so if people have low mobility and walking is a difficulty, but you don't have a, own a scooter, the MQG I saw had those available. That was a while ago. I think that's important because the conference is taking place over the course of two different buildings. Building two has, or maybe it's three buildings. Building two has the vendor hall, registration, and the workshops. Building one, which is across the street and down of the way, I think it's still a walkway, so you don't have to go outside and get wet. But that's the Westin Hotel, and that is where all the lectures are going to be happening. And I think the handwork classes are there too. So my plan is to, if I know, like for example, I'm taking a hand sewing class, believe it or not. I say that aloud and I'm like, what? What? Who said you was doing that? No, I am voluntarily taking a hand sewing. It's hand embroidery. I'm taking a hand embroidery class, and it's in the hand sewing building, and it's at 6 o'clock. And there's also a lecture around that time that I'm interested in. So that means that when I know I will try to do both things at the same time. I'll say, okay, well, if the lecture is at 4, and I know my class is at 6, then I've got, the lecture gets done at 5 or 5:30. Maybe I'll have time to run over to the Starbucks or something and get something to drink before I go to class. So these are the kind of things that it's kind of like when I do regular errands. I like to do that stuff when I'm on that side of town, for example. And that's kind of no exception there. The good news is I'm happy to say it seems like from the 10-day forecast it's been looking nice from what I've heard. So if you do have to walk, hopefully we'll have nice weather for that.
Yes. I think I recall the same thing, that the way the buildings are interconnected, you don't have to go outside if you don't want to. So that is good, and I like the mobility options with scooters for those who need it. Lots of things have been considered in terms of getting around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and having the app really helps you organize and know where things are and how much time you need to allot to get to the next place.
Yes.
Well, Lisa, thank you so much for joining us here on Quilt Conversations
This
Live.
Thank you so much. This is such a delight. Your audience is so generous and so kind. I feel very welcome. Thank you so much, everybody. And thank you so much, Geraldine, for the opportunity.
Well, it is our pleasure. Thank you for sharing your tips for how to get there. And we're looking forward to seeing those live uh, sessions on the train. So if you're not following her on Instagram or TikTok and you want to see what that's like, you're going to have to go find her. And it's Black Women Stitch on both.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
On both.
Okay. So Black Women Stitch, follow her so that you can see her sewing on the train. I love it.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Well, I
Bye
will
now.
see you soon. Bye now, Lisa. Thank you.
Bye now.
Well, ladies, what a show we had. We had a couple of interviews. We had a time to get some tips for how to prepare and attend a quilt show, especially one this big. I hope it was helpful for those who have been to a quilt show before and those who are thinking about going to one in the future. This was a little bit different for Quilt Conversations Live, and it's actually a teaser into future sessions. I'm going to be interviewing more sewers and quilters. Would you enjoy that? Let me know in the chat what you thought about tonight's Quilt Conversation Live. It was fun, says Sherry. Awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Hello, Wilda. So glad that you're here. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Standing ovation. Okay, awesome. Wonderful. Ladies, have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you in March. This is our last session for the month. We'll be back for those of you who are new. We are here on the first and third Friday of the month, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next week, I will be at Quilt Con, and the beautiful sister quilt will be on display. I'm excited about that. You met Cecily, who is the owner of So Creative Lounge, with her partner. The quilt's going to hang in their booth. I'm looking forward to that. And it's also the pattern release. So there will be patterns and kits available at QuiltCon if you're attending. Thank you so much. And just as a reminder, I want to let you know that if you haven't already, remember there's a special discount for the month of February, $59. February is my birthday month. So you save $59 on each of the classes for a total of $118. If you're not signed up for 10 Steps to Stress-Free Machine Quilting, or for the Alphabet Free Motion Quilting Design course. Both of those, that will end March 1st. So it lasts until the end of the month. Just a reminder. Okay. Thank you, Copper. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be busy, busy, busy. I teach every day of the 4-day events. The first day I have 2 classes, and then Friday 2 classes. Each of those are 3 hours each. And then on Saturday I have 1 class, but that's 6 hours. And then I have 1 class on Sunday morning. My free time is very limited, so I'm going to be very organized to make sure I get to meet some of you ladies who are attending. I'll be at the So Creative Lounge on Thursday morning and Friday morning. Yes, very full schedule. Hey, Teresa, so glad that you're here. Thank you, Lori. Appreciate it. Very interesting. Yes. All right. Well, I will see you ladies soon. Have a wonderful weekend. See you next time for another Quilt Conversations Live. And don't forget, if you're not a subscriber, subscribe on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And don't keep this a secret. Let others know so that they also can enjoy our fun community here every first and third Friday of the month. See you next time.